will just take a couple of minutes to set the background. So while we listen to a very contrasting view from Beoria Saab in the morning session, my take is that if the same support as LPG got in the last 50 years, if the same support was available to the CGD industry in the last 10 or 15 years, we would not have done 6%. We would have been actually close to 15% or so. And I can tell you in the year 2011-12, if you look at the statistics, and incidentally, I used to head marketing in GAIL at that time, we had reached 11% share in the energy basket. And so it's not something great, except that we have not been able to keep pace with the energy requirements of the country. Energy needs are growing by 2-3% on a compounded basis, whereas this sector has not grown by the same amount, and therefore we are now at 6%. Now what it does to take this industry to the 11% is a lot of effort on part of all the stakeholders, the government, the policy maker, the regulator, the entities, even the public at large. You see, acceptance by the people of a fuel as the right fuel to use is also something which matters, and therefore creating the right perception in the minds of people that even if I have to spend, say, 8,000 rupees to get a PNG connection, why shouldn't I get it? And the entity itself is spending, last I remember in MGL we used to spend 20,000 rupees to do a domestic connection, and now it must be close to 30,000. So entities are willing to spend 20,000 rupees extra to connect a household, and 8,000 is what is expected out of an individual. Now, which is not a big take. And therefore, creating the right positive impact in the mind of people that yes, this is a fuel which on a standalone basis without subsidies, etc., which are there in the scheme of things for LPG, is a viable option. That kind of perception needs to be created. Similarly, for LNG, you know, LNG has a lot of opportunity as far as the country is concerned. And we have 5 or 6 operating stations, 7 stations, now I think 52 million tons of import capacity. The question is not that why are these stations running at 30% except one which is running at 50%. The question should be as to how to ensure that these run at 50-60%. World over, as we were told, normally the LNG regas facilities run at 50% load or 50-60% at best. But what does it take to take it to 50-60% should be the question that we need to answer. On the role of CGDs, I think going forward, CGDs are going to be central to the energy requirements of our country. And whatever we may like to say or do, once the networks are established, they are going to last you for another 30-40 years. They are not going to be dug out because some other fuel has come. The energy requirements will continue to grow. We are a 145 crore nation. We will grow. Energy needs will grow. New fuels will come. Yet, the use and the utility of natural gas will remain. And why I am saying so, you can see from history in Europe, UK and most other places, the networks have outlasted people. So meaning thereby we may live for 70, 80, 90 years, but the networks have lasted for 150 years as I speak. And when we set up new networks, they are going to last you much more. Whether we talk of hydrogen or any other fuel that is going to come up in the future, they will only be add-on fuels. So the talk of gas being a transitional fuel, to my mind, this transition is going to last very long. And therefore, transition itself may not be the right term to be used as far as the use of gas is concerned in the next, for me, it may last another 30, 40, 50 years or more. Coming back to the role of CGDs, if you need clean fuel energy excess, then you need pipe gas to be delivered into houses. And for that, as I said, while the companies are doing whatever they are doing, a lot of other things will be required to be done, and some of our speakers will talk about them. Going forward, there are lots of challenges as far as the CGD entities are concerned. They not only face issues in getting permissions, there are lots of construction challenges. They have to struggle to connect houses. There are issues relating to the reliability of gas availability, as Negi Saab and others talked about, that some pipeline disruptions have happened. So how to create redundancy and ensure reliability of gas supply, safety and integrity of systems. And then it is a high capital intensive kind of industry where you invest first and you reap the gains later on. Then there are issues relating to taxation, tax disparities. It's not in the GST regime of things. VATs are different. And on top of it, the entire concept of integrating all the sources with all the markets, that one nation, one grid, one infrastructure across India, that itself is taking a lot of time. And in between, we have new additions like the CBG policy, which mandate the CGD entities to blend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% kind of a thing. So all those things, plus the encouragement of the government to have Ujjwala Yojana, etc., where you get 3, 4 LPG cylinders free. So all those are things that you have to live with, and the industry has to, grow in spite of all these things. So we'll hear more about this, and then we'll open the house for people's views and how to address all these issues. I have a small 3-4 slides before I give the floor to the speakers. Can you load that, ma'am? So let's look at the analysis as far as the CGD, and I'll add on to LNG also onto this. So if you look at the production and consumption of gas in the country today, these are numbers for the last 1 year or so. The production of gas, the light green one, has remained pretty constant. So it has actually plateaued out in spite of new discoveries, in spite of discovered small fields, in spite of a lot of gas coming from KG Basin and ONGC doing a lot of things. About 3,000 million cubic meters every month. About 100 million cubic meters is kind of the number where we are stagnant, and we need to do something dramatic to improve the production levels going forward, because our demand is going to grow rapidly, and some numbers suggest even reaching 600 million kind of a number. Now the imports, which are supplementing the domestic availability, are again another 3,000 million cubic meters every month. And they have also remained pretty stagnant, except for couple of months when the power requirement suddenly grew last year, and a lot of gas started being used in power sector. But these are only aberrations, should I say. So our domestic availability likely to remain stagnant, imports likely to rise. And therefore, by logic, the 6-7 terminals that are already operating will see a better utilization level going forward. As the interconnectivity between the terminals happens, as more flexible LNG contracts happen, which allow flexibility of taking the cargo not to a single terminal, but to any terminal where the entity wants to. So all these kind of contracts are already there. More spot coming in. Now look at the next slide. These are the sectorial consumption numbers. What is happening? The light blue is the domestic gas use. Dark blue is the LNG use. So maximum use of LNG in the past has been in the fertilizer sector because they were agnostic to whatever price being subsidized, akin to what was happening to the LPG sector, and therefore they had a robust demand of appetite for imported LNG. Now the other sector which is utilizing the maximum amount of LNG today is the CGD sector. 447 million standard cubic meters were, this is the number for May 25. Of course, the number keeps on changing, but their appetite is rising day by day. As the domestic availability stagnates or grows marginally, the compounded growth of CGD sector is going to be at least 3% on an annual basis. All that going to be fed mostly out of new well gas, NWG or whatever, and imported LNG going forward. As the infrastructure of the CGD entities increases, accessibility to new industrial, commercial and other sectors happens, the amount of LNG that is going to be utilized will keep on growing in these sectors. The others are of course also using LNG, but moderately or less. Next slide, ma'am. Now look at CGD sectors. Of the 307 GAs which were authorized by the PNGRB, 287 GAs have been gasified. Now out of this, just about, kya number hai? Sorry, 209 have been connected through pipelines. Just 209 out of 307. So almost 100 GAs don't have even a pipeline connectivity. What to talk about connecting houses, giving them gas, or having reliable CNG networks across these. So, how to inspire a customer is you ensure that you have the product available, product, place, price. This is what we were told when we studied MBA. Now, if that doesn't happen, how do you ensure 15% market share? And that I am talking on a standalone basis. These companies are not being subsidized in any manner as compared to LPG. So if there was an incentive of that kind, if there was an availability of product, if connectivity was there, I'm sure the customer would have aspired to use PNG. So some of the GAs are being supplied through cascade, some are being supplied through LNG mode. These are not the modes which were even thought about by the regulator at that time. ये तो आफ्टर थॉट है, कंपनियों ने कहा भाई हमें काम मिल गया है, अभी कुछ करना है, पैसे बनाने हैं, कुछ तो करो. एंड देन एडिशनल सम 7 वाले GS है, जैसे साहब ने बताया, 7 वाले GS से गैस ले लिया, अपना कुछ नहीं हुआ तो बट हियर इज व्हाट a lot needs to be done. A lot of progress has been made as far as the trunk transmission pipelines is concerned. But lot needs to be done. 25-30,000 किलोमीटर की लाइनें लग गई हैं और भी लगे जा रही हैं. But once the entire nation gets interconnected, like the power grid has now got connected, so you have the ability of producing somewhere and then dispensing the power somewhere else, and then people have the confidence that the electrons will flow. If not by displacement, it will be done. आज की डेट में ये position नहीं है. And even those entities which have got GAs and set up their network, they don't have any redundancy as far as the supply systems are concerned. So all these need to be done. नीचे आप देखिए, round 9 तक 96 GAs का total MWB target was 1 crore 12 lakh connections. उन्होंने 1 crore 14 lakh कर दिए. Now what Behuria Saab said, why set up a target which is, every year, every conference we keep on debating, ये होगा नहीं होगा, क्यों नहीं हो रहा, आप क्या कर रहे हैं करने के. जिनका टारगेट सेट नहीं किया था, they have exceeded what was there. और जिसका टारगेट 11 करोड़ 47 लाख था, वो उन्होंने 20 लाख किए हैं अभी तक. beyond 9th round onwards. ऐसे ही CNG स्टेशन आप देखिए, मतलब this story goes on. अब ये statistics हैं, we can debate over it. I will not spend time next. Government वैसे बहुत कुछ कर रही है. Lot of things are being done. At least they are predicting for the next 6 months how much APM gas will be available. Incidentally, this APM gas is not a subsidized gas. ONGC is getting their due $6.50 is adequate return for whatever they produce with some margin. Therefore, nothing is subsidized as far as the CGD sector is concerned. And this is something which is good for having a swavalambhi and reliable India on standing on its own feet without subsidies. And therefore, this sector is going to last many other sectors where subsidies are available today. And if they are withdrawn, the market may not grow or remain stagnant. So quarterly, in advance, they are telling you how much gas you will get for CNG, how much you will get for CNG, how much for PNG, and some new NWG gas is also coming in to supplement whatever APM gas is available. They are able to maintain about 50-60% share of that, for the CGD entities. And also the price is also very stable. So that volatility kind of a thing as far as PNG and CNG is concerned largely goes away. And therefore with stability, the consumer also looks at it confidently as far as demand or aspiration to buy CNG or PNG is concerned.